Pastoral agents from 21 dioceses attended the Southern African Catholic Bishops' Conference workshop on migration and human trafficking. Organized by the Migrants, Refugees and Human Trafficking Office, the 4-day training workshop aimed at providing leadership skills to effectively engage in welcoming and assisting migrants and refugees, as well as asylum seekers in Southern Africa.
I think that the most important of the workshop are formation. Our people that are working in the parishes and different environments, they need to impregnate the Christian faith in many places. This workshop is part of their formation, part of the knowledge, and they increase more things in different ways to their common work of them in different parts where they come from. My topic was an Old Testament on migration. We try to have an overview of different topics, but most relevant the issue of hospitality, which is very important not only in that time of the Old Testament but in our days.
During the 4-day workshop, pastoral agents learned about the Church's response to migration, from the pontificates of Pope Leo XIII to Pope Francis, as well as migration in biblical tradition and human trafficking and smuggling in Southern Africa.
I think for us, the challenges, like the last time we spoke, are still very much the same. The Lesotho is still vulnerable. We're still facing issues of migration because of the vulnerability, the unemployment, and the poverty that is prevalent in our country at the moment. But coming to this workshop, I think it has been very important for me to learn, because I think it concentrated more on the theology of migration, showing that migration in the biblical context has always been there. So in the essence, it makes us all migrants in a sense. But when it comes to the issue of minors and everything else, like I had mentioned before, most of the migrants living in Lesotho are in search of a better life in South Africa. And I always mention that you can't talk about Lesotho and migration without conceptualizing or without talking of South Africa. South Africa is always the first entry point for Pastoral. So even if they would want to access documents like so that they get legally into South Africa, it's still a challenge for us, because right now, as we speak, our country, many people have applied for passports so that they can get legal documentation, but they've been waiting a long time to get those documents. So it's still a challenge. And when it comes to the issues of human trafficking, it's also a concern for us, because Lesotho, most of them are irregular migrants. They cross rivers to get into South Africa in search of a better life, and they become easier victims of trafficking. And often you'll find that these victims of trafficking are being called to a better life by relatives, by sisters, by aunts, by someone they know. And unfortunately, it's the situation also in Lesotho. And coming to look at the US report on TIP that was I saw on the news, I think it was Newsroom a few weeks back, talking about the unprecedented numbers of Basotho women being trafficked into South Africa. Those numbers are really alarming. And for us, as Justice and Peace, we are part of the multi-sectoral team on trafficking in persons, which is a team that is comprised of government agencies and all other stakeholders that are in the service of migrants and refugees. So it's helping us a lot to really make awareness and try to protect victims of trafficking. So we're making strides to try and protect these victims.
Sister Jane Popina Mokhala, CSP, a member of the International Network of Consecrated Life Against Trafficking in Persons, Talita Kum, is raising awareness about the scourge of human trafficking during catechism classes in Bethlehem Diocese.
In Bethlehem Diocese, we have integrated anything material about human trafficking, to little children in Sunday classes, then we incorporated those who are teaching, then they know about it because we had to train them first. So now we go there as observers on Sundays to check if they are still aligned with human trafficking regulations. So it's there. Yes, because in South Africa, they've taken that religious education from schools. So we realize not we need to take it back, but how? We need to work within the church first before we can take it to schools. Remember, those children in the church, they attend schools. So it's easier. Let's get our own people. Charity begins at home. And then we take it together with the people to the people.
And also, the human trafficking aspect of it is new to us because it was in a different department altogether. So now it's me going back and coming together with the people who were handling it first so that we work together as a team. Whatever I'm taking here, I'm going to apply it in that group setting, and then we are going to raise awareness because that's what's more important, especially with young people, because young people, it's easy for them to be taken in by anything flashy, and then they are taken so easily. So now our campaign will have to start at schools, especially like high schools. Those are the most vulnerable. Also, I think one of the things we have to be looking at is empowering women economically, because it's the financial aspect of it that is making them vulnerable. Having no money, they hear that there's a job somewhere and then they'll be going as easily. Someone promises you a job in South Africa when you're in Swaziland, you are taken. You want to go into South Africa, and that's how you get trafficked in a way.
Our duty now is also to make people aware of human trafficking, go to parishes, also attend youth events, warning them about the dangers of human trafficking, because our young people are vulnerable really. So I think we'll emphasize on that one when we go back.
Just on a brief scale, we have been making awarenesses to the schools, but it has not been enough, because we think that most of our children, because of social media, especially those that are in high school, they are really a great target. But we intend to go more to the schools and make those awarenesses. We cannot do it in just a handful, so we need more of the stakeholders, for example, maybe the SGP or the school's deputy, to indicate to us who can be involved to most of the schools, so that it is not only us making the hours, but it's a continuous effort that the children are always being reminded of what they should be aware of, because it is an epidemic. And as we speak, in Pretoria, it has been indicated as a hotspot. So we are trying our level best to reach out to most of the schools.
With a high rate of unemployment and poverty in the SACBC region, migrants, refugees, and asylum seekers are often not welcomed in host countries and are in some cases accused of criminal activities.
Some of the people, when they meet up, when they come across these challenges in their different dioceses, in their daily works, they somehow get swallowed up by the loud voices out there in communities, and often they don't know how to respond, if I may put it that way. So bringing those issues here and discussing them here, it's helpful then, because they get a better picture or bigger picture and get the advice, the necessary advice and training to be able to deal with those loud voices in the communities, which kind of instigate xenophobic tendencies in communities. So the discussions that we had clearly shows that we need to have more of these training workshops, more empowerment of agencies, and to continue to go into dioceses, because sometimes, although there may be xenophobic tendencies in other areas, in other dioceses, the severity and different dynamics on the ground, they really need a specific response, if I may put it that way. So, like, advocacy strategies, different advocacy strategies in different dioceses, for example, to be able to respond effectively to the challenges that face migrants, refugees, and victims of human trafficking in the different dioceses. So I'm glad that we had those discussions, and I'm glad that, you know, they were not shy to bring out the challenges and say it as it is on the ground, so that we can really share ideas and give proper advice that can help them and empower them to be able to respond to the challenges they face on the ground. So I'm quite happy, and it shows that these workshops are really indispensable.
It's been wonderful to see people are slowly changing their mindset. I mean, before we started running these campaigns, teaching people about the plight of migrants and refugees, they, as a kind of associated migrants, people who are not Swazis, they were associated with criminal activity, drug trafficking, all those kinds of things. So, but now, I think many people are joining in, and they are taking part. So it's we are improving slowly. It's we hope that we'll get where we want to be. Although it's a bit difficult to integrate them into society currently, because even them, they have had difficult experiences. So I don't know if I can call it self-preservation, or they're just afraid of us because of what happened to them before we were enlightened.
Yeah, during this workshop, I was again reminded that the God that we serve, Jesus Christ, was also a migrant, also a stranger, and the Holy Family, Mary and Joseph, was the first migrants into Africa at one point in time when he was still a baby. I really realized during this workshop the plight of migrants and refugees, which I was made aware of these atrocities that happened to them and how they are struggling on their own. And perhaps the concept or the idea that these migrants are coming to steal our jobs and to take our wives and take our places here in South Africa, that myth was sort of dealt with. Yeah, so I've really loved the experience, and would love to go back home and try some of the concepts that I've learned here and the ideas that I've got here in my area in Port Elizabeth.
The August 19 to 22 training workshop was the first of 2 sessions. Pastoral agents are expected to attend the second training session from November 11 to the 15th.
This workshop is an important moment for all dioceses, because it's to prepare the leadership for the Department of Migrants, Refugees and Human Trafficking. And they need to be prepared to assist the people there coming in our communities, and they need to be protected, to be welcomed, and to be assisted in all necessity that they need. And this workshop will prepare every leaders that can, and biblical, theological, social, and other kind of formation they will receive. This is 2 moments. One is now in August, and the second formation will be on November, to continue this kind of formation for the leadership.
For me, what I'm taking home is I have become a beacon of hope for these migrants and the refugees, that I, in my small way, will have to welcome them, protect them, and if I have the power to integrate, and which is difficult, but I see myself doing by advocating and meeting people who are in higher authorities and can't do what they have to do to integrate these refugees. Because one way or the other, we are all refugees. We are all migrants. Our Maker himself, Jesus Christ, whom we follow, is a migrant or was a migrant. And my pain, the pain I feel now, is not the door that has been closed, but the open door that is being slammed at my face when going to seek for help for our brothers and sisters who are migrants and refugees. It's an eye-opener, and I will try my possible best to sensitize people, started from my parish, in a small way, and then in future to meet the wider people who can really make a change in the life of these migrants and refugees. Thank you.
I would like to offer a word of encouragement that even though there are challenges that we have heard when they were sharing, that we persist and push on. God is pleased. We'll always send people and send scented agencies to come and help. Like we had seen, there were sponsors, people coming forward to help. God, in one way or another, will be in solidarity with you, with the ministry that you do, because it's a ministry that is directed to Him through these people who are in need. And we are hoping that with these endeavors that you do in reaching out to people, there will be more changes that are done, and people's hearts will be touched, that more help can be outsourced out there to reach out to the people, so that, you know, we make a better world, even in a small scale. That better world that is made, it makes a huge difference. And I am so grateful to have been here, even though it had been challenging. Really, I couldn't hold my heart from sinking, but that there is someone, you know, going across into helping and lending a helping hand is so uplifting, even though there are challenges. May God continue to strengthen you in your ministry, which is not at all easy, but God will have a way. A big blessing on you is awaiting on the other side of the tunnel. God will reward you abundantly for what you do.
During the August 28 weekly general audience, Pope Francis focused on the plight of migrants and decried indifference in the face of migrants who die crossing deserts and seas in search of a better life, and called for a global system of governance based on justice and solidarity.
Quello che uccide i migranti e la nostra differenza è quell'atteggiamento di scartare. In prima linea penso a tanti bravi che stanno lì in prima linea, no? A Mediterranean Saving Humans e tante altre associazioni. Non per questo è escluso da tale lotta di civiltà. Noi non possiamo stare in prima linea, ma non siamo esclusi. Ci sono tanti modi di dare il proprio contributo. Primo fra tutti la preghiera. Io a voi domando, voi pregate per i migranti? Per questo che vengono nelle nostre terre per salvare la vita? E voi volete cacciarli via?
Africa,